Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Andrew Alvarez, and I am the Latino conservative. Thanks for joining me today. Really appreciate that. Got some big news today. And I was kind of dreading the day that this would happen. But finally, the Derek Chauvin trial is over. And I'm not saying I was dreading it because I wanted it to go on and on forever, but I knew from the very beginning that I'd have to talk about it. Quite frankly, I didn't want to talk about it. This is one of those topics that I just want to stay away from. But since I'm here for y'all, I feel like I have to do this. So we're going to talk about the Derek Chauvin case and a couple other things that I've got in the back of my mind right now. And you know the drill, whatever else there is to pick. But let's start off with our sponsors. So if you haven't used Cash App yet, what are you waiting for? It's free. It's free to download. It's free to use. Now, what I use Cash App for is a few things. I can help my family out, my friends and family out. They need a few extra bucks, or if I need a few extra bucks, we can send cash instantly right away. No fees attached. Real simple to do. It's real free to download as well. Did I mention it's free? What I can also do is buy and sell stock with it. With the craze, with the stock market going on, if you're not getting in right now, you're missing out. I can do that for free with Cash App as well. Go download it. It's free. www.thelatinoconservative.com/Cash App and go download it. What you can do there if you don't have it already, because if you don't have it, you download it. Cash App pays me a little bit, $15. As long as because you can set up your direct deposit with it too. But if you do have it already, go become a sponsor of the show. Hook a brother up. Okay, so let's get back to the meat and potatoes of this. And no green screen again, because I couldn't really hang it on the wall this time, and the way the setup was in the wall, in the hotel. But I'm in Indiana right now, closer to Chicago than I am to Indianapolis. And you know what happened yesterday? It snowed again. It's supposed to be spring break, guys. You know, spring is supposed to happen. What's up with these people in the north? You know, what's up with the weather here? Man, you know, I'm doubling down on this coffee because it's still kind of cold. So either way, Derek Chauvin happened. The trial ended, the jury deliberated, and he was found guilty on all three charges. Okay, justice happened. The judicial system worked the way it should have worked, the way it was designed to work. He was tried by a group of his peers. Well, that's how the terminology is, but basically, group of random people were his jurors. They found him guilty. Okay, that's fine. Can I argue with it? No. It's not my place to argue with it. And I'm not going to take any blame off of Derek Chauvin at all. I think he's an asshole. Pardon the French. But had there not been a resist to arrest to begin with, this wouldn't have happened. Now, to dive deep into this, outside of the guilty, not guilty, the country has a great chance right now, has a great chance for criminal justice reform. And I say reform, not removal. There's a lot of great police out there. I'm friends with some of them. But we have the chance, guys, to to majorly change how the judicial system works, how the law enforcement system works. Now, there's nothing against anybody out there working that's one of the good cops, but you and I both know in every industry, there's good and there's bad. Heck, even in the medical field, you've got your doctors out there and your surgeons that are great at what they do. Then you've got your doctors and your surgeons that do some janky stuff. Take out kidneys and sell them to China. We need to fix that. Just like with any other industry out there, there are people that are abusive of their powers, and there's people that are true workers. They go to work every day. The difference is, and this is where I'm going to become the political commentator that I am. The difference is, you don't have politicians out there exploiting what happened to a man for their gain. Because let's face it, George Floyd, he was from Missouri City. He moved up to Minneapolis. He was by no means the poster child of the black community. For Joe Biden to go out and compare him to Dr. Martin Luther King, you guys should be outraged. There's no comparison. He did not once fight to save anybody else's rights but his own. He did not once fight to save anybody but himself. Hell, even his drug dealer, who was going to testify to begin with, magically pled the fifth. The circumstances in the case are questionable at best, but the fact that the politicians did what they did in this case, very disappointing to me. Not unexpected, but very disappointing. Kamala Harris still has not called for peace. She still hasn't. She's sorry, and I'm just looking out the window and it's snowing again. I got a little squirrel moment, but she is still out there saying more has to be done. But she's not saying more as in progress. No, that's not what she's saying. She's taking the stance of Maxine Waters, which is a different story. We're going to get into that a little bit more. But still, incitement of violence again. You know, the same thing that they wanted to execute Donald Trump over. We've got to get more confrontational. No, man, you know, that's the point. That defeats the purpose. Defeats the entire purpose. Now, am I making this a little racially charged? I don't know. I'm trying to make this more politically charged because it should not be a political event. Where were all of these politicians? Where were they? Where were the politicians? Where were the media when Tony Timpa died? Do y'all know that name? Do y'all remember that name at all? No, you don't. It wasn't brought up. Now, this happened a little bit ago, but you still had the mainstream media out there. They were still out there. This happened in 2002. No, sorry, 1919, so not that long ago. August the 2nd, 2019, there was an article in the Dallas paper, Tony Timpa death. Dallas police body cam footage shows, and it gives the dots because I'm looking at a Google article, but essentially what happened, he died in a very similar manner 2 years ago. Nobody heard about it. You know why? I tell you exactly why nobody heard about it. Because he was white. That's right, he was white. He was a white guy, a policeman from Dallas, had his knee on the same area, face down. Nothing happened. So these people, these politicians that are out there, these media outlets that are out there claiming to have the best interest for racial justice and injustice and systemic racism. They're creating that systemic racism, but flipping it. They're thinking and they're saying and they're making you think and they're putting you in a position to think that everything a black person does is better than what a white person does. Anything that happens to a black person is more important than something that happens to a white person. What about me? What about Latinos? You don't hear about us. In fact, you hear about everything except Latinos. Unless it comes to borders. You hear about any type of racial issue is anything that is not Latino oriented. You know why? Because we want to go to work. That's all we care about. We want to go to work. We want to make money for our families. We want to raise our kids. We've got our side hustles. And I'm not trying to play ignorant. You know, some of our side hustles aren't the most legal side hustles, but you know what? We got them. We work. Not saying anybody else does, but that's not our motivation. Racial injustice, systemic racism, that's not our motivation. We ignore that. We move that out because you know what? We see past that. So the media coming towards Latinos about racial injustice, systemic racism, doesn't get them clicks, doesn't get them views, but a black person does. And the politicians know that. So you got Maxine Waters saying this.
I hope that we're going to get a verdict that is say guilty, guilty, guilty. And if we don't, we cannot go away. We've got to get more confrontational. We've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
The judge denied a request for a mistrial over her comments, but says the defense may have grounds for appealing a guilty verdict later on.
I wish elected officials would stop talking about this case. Their failure to do so, I think, is abhorrent, but I don't think it has prejudiced us with additional material that would prejudice this jury. They have been told not to watch the news. I trust they are following those instructions.
Let me take it back to January 6th of 2022. 21. Sorry, it's still early. So January 6th of 2021, Donald Trump was accused of inciting violence by telling people to go out and peacefully to the Capitol. Now, we all know more stuff happened. Crappy stuff happened. But he told them to go out peacefully. Maxine Waters is saying the exact opposite. The Republican Party, rightfully so, created a motion to censure Maxine Waters. I keep saying Walters with an L, but it's not. It's Waters. Maxine Waters. She's been in office way too long. In fact, she even was outspoken about Rodney King while in office. That's how long she's been in there. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong at all. I'm not trying to say that she has no space to say anything about racism. She does. She has all the space to do it. But her words and her tonality are insightful. The same people that sought to remove a sitting president out of office in his last few days of office, and then try to go on with the impeachment trial even after he was out of office, are celebrating this person, are praising her. So when that motion to censure happened, as the norm is in Congress, it was voted strictly down party lines. Congress right now, Congress as in the U.S. House of Representatives, practically worthless. All of them. I say that because though I like some, not so fanatical about others, I like representatives on both sides. But they're not getting crap done. They're not getting crap done for the people. They're getting crap done for the Democratic Party. Everything voted on in the House is straight down party lines. No one is willing to stand up, but they keep getting voted in. Crappy policy after crappy policy, they keep getting voted in. How? I wonder, how has Nancy Pelosi had the reins in her district for almost 50 years? Maxine Waters, she's been in office longer than most people that vote for her have been alive. Ever wonder how? What I see right now happening are representatives using this to exploit and basically start campaigning. A campaign lasts about a year in Congress. A term lasts for 2 years. So essentially, half the time they're in a term, they're campaigning. That's unfair. This is why I am going to write each and every one of the representatives in my area, because Houston has a lot of areas. So Al Green, I'm going to write you. Expect a letter from me. It's not going to be an email because their portals don't allow me to email them anymore. So Al Green, Sheila Jackson Lee, Troy Nels, Dan Crenshaw, Sylvia Hernandez, Lizzie Fletcher. Yes, there's a lot of them. Lizzie Fletcher, Michael Cloud, all of those people I'm going to write. I think we should extend the terms of Congress. Make them a little bit longer. Instead of 2 years, make it 4 years. But I think we should also have term limits. And hear me out on this. Cases like this, with George Floyd happening, with Derek Chauvin happening, they're using this as a campaigning tool. That's all it is. Maxine Waters flew from her district, probably on your dime. My dime, too. She's probably writing it off. If not, she's a millionaire already, so she can afford it off of your dime anyway and off of my dime anyway. But she flew from her district in California, Torrance, California, you know that area? She flew all the way to Minneapolis, Minnesota to make those comments outside of her district. Now, if that's not a campaign tool, I don't know what is. Hey, listen here, black people, vote for me. I'm black and I'm standing up for you. Am I sounding racist? Let me tell you a little bit about my history with racism. I've been a victim of racism. Probably will be again, but not just by white people. Go figure. So I've had a taser pulled on me before. I've been pulled out of my car when I went to go get some tacos from my mom and dad because they couldn't. I've been pulled out of my car. I could have griped and complained. I didn't. At the end of the day, I knew they were doing their jobs, though I did not like the method of it. The guy was way lighter than me because I was in a 2007 Honda Civic that the window didn't roll down. Typical Latino car. I was pulled out, had the taser pulled on me. Guys that know me personally, that know me outside of the camera, outside of the video. Have I ever done anything to get pulled out of a car like that? So what I did is I opened the car door. I stayed in the car. Hey, dude, my window doesn't work, so I opened up the car. That was it. Next thing you know, I am out of the car. I'm handcuffed. I've got a taser pulled at me, and I go downtown. Yeah, that's right. I was arrested for getting tacos so I can feed my mom and dad. And I've seen people in similar instances that aren't as dark as me. Just, here you go. Here's a warning. I've seen that. I've been a victim of it. On the flip side, I have been miscategorized as a white supremacist. I have been taken advantage of by people darker than me. I'm using nice words right now, just so you know. I'm using nice words. Just the names I have been called by people darker than me when I am sitting there at the bar having a drink by myself. Go home. Go home to Mexico. Go back where you came from. That's right. Stuff like that by people darker than me. You know where I came from? You know where my family comes from? Just so y'all know, my dad has Aztec roots in him. My mom has indigenous roots in him. My dad also has roots that I can trace back to Christopher Columbus. We were here before you were. My family was here way before your family was. I also was born in the United States. So were my parents. So were my grandparents. Both sides. Maternal and paternal. All of them. So yeah, I am where I came from. But yeah, that came from people darker than me. So yeah, that's my little talk on how I've been affected on racism. That's just a couple examples. But then you have other politicians like Nancy Pelosi, whose seat is up for grab again because she's starting to campaign right now, telling somebody, thank you for dying for our country. Okay, let me touch on that too. I feel crappy that someone had to die to have this so we can get this much attention. Had the media had reported on other instances similar to this, I don't think this would have get blown up the way it was. Had they reported on Timpa, there could have been some reform done earlier. Somebody else wouldn't have had to die. The more cases that the media has hidden from us, the more lives were lost because of that. But you have Nancy Pelosi saying, thank you, George Floyd, for dying for our country. No, he did not die for our country. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings on this. He did not die for our country. He died trying to save himself. Okay, that is a noble cause. Trying to save yourself is a noble cause. I get that. But he died trying to save himself from going to jail because he overdosed on fentanyl. That's it. What a poster child y'all have selected. A drug addict that was committing a crime in the middle of a deal, trying to get change for a fake $20 bill, and didn't even have the smarts enough to leave once it was discovered he had a fake $20 bill. He stayed there. Why was he there so long? What other deals was he committing? Was he sending out, doing, supplying? Why were you there so long? There's just so much that goes on as to how this person is not a poster child for y'all. I say y'all like everybody that is standing for George Floyd. It's crappy that he died. It's a life loss that we can't get back. He could have had some potential in him. He very well could have made a full recovery and touched other people's lives in his life. But a combination of an overdose of fentanyl and a poorly trained cop, or maybe even a poorly practiced cop, or just a cop who didn't know what he was doing, who was a jerk. A combination of those ended up in life lost. And that sucks. Who knows what he could have done? But thank you. I mean, come on, Nancy. Come on. I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but negative Nancy sucks. How about you and Maxine Waters go to California, take a real poll about how your people feel about it. How your people feel about those comments. Yeah, I'm talking about a real anonymous poll. I bet you'll be surprised at the numbers. I'm not just trying to say this as a conservative, anti-cop, anti-black, anti-whatever. I'm just saying this right now as a person. I would never say comments like that. The guy was not honorable, didn't serve the military, didn't serve in the force. Now, I know that's a whole different topic, but he didn't do anything for the country. He didn't do anything for the country. Something bad happened to him, but he didn't do anything for the country. He was trying to avoid the country's laws is what he was trying to do. But thank you? Sorry, ma'am. No. Two of the people with the most power in the country, and one would say the world, because of this country, making comments like that and exploiting a black man's death for votes. That's what it amounts to, for votes. I'll take a drink of coffee to that. Second cup, by the way. So before we get into the next topic, let me tell you about how you can become a sponsor of the show. I do the show totally free. Nobody pays me to do this. I don't have a big listenership. In fact, I got my first sponsor the other day. Thank you. I didn't see the name. I can't see the name, but thank you. I really do appreciate it. I got a $4.99 sponsor. So you can become a sponsor of the show too, simply by clicking in the show notes, in the video description. There is a link there to my Anchor page, which is where you can go in and become a sponsor. 99 cents a month is the least you can do, and that's all you have to do. There's 99 cents a month, $4.99, and $9.99, because I do this totally free. However, I do have issues every now and then where, this thing right here, this piece of equipment might need repair. And I have a website. I need to update it. I'm a one-man gang, by the way. If I can get enough sponsors, I'll actually hire a crew. But it's all it takes. You can do it through Google Pay. You can do it through Apple Pay. Real simple. Just go to the link in the description that says become a sponsor of the show. Click that and sign up. Okay, so back to the news. Another drink of coffee. By the way, I'm in the Hampton Inns. I'm a Hilton guy, and I like the Hamptons. What a great brand. No, I'm not getting paid to say this. I work with a bunch of guys. I'm not going to say who I work for, where I work, or whatnot. People who know what I do, great. But I travel the country for work. The Hampton, what a great brand. Personality-wise, I've never had a bad experience at the Hamptons or any Hilton property for that fact. A lot of times you'll see me with the green screen on, depending on the layout of the room. This room right here, I could live in this room. Now, I live, I'm a single man. I live by myself. I live in an RV because, I'm only home on the weekends a lot of times, and I don't want to pay a huge mortgage. If I can't be financially secure with my funds, when I run for Congress, how can you expect me to be financially secure and conservative with your money? So that's kind of my take on that. I don't have to have a big, extravagant life. That's not me. But this room, man, I really like this room. The setup here, we've got the TV over here. You might see it flashing over here. But it's got this desk type tool here. Right behind me, there's a couch. And just the layout. This is like, I really could live in this hotel, and it was one of the cheapest ones around. But the Hampton Inns, the True 2 by Hilton, those are great brands. So Hilton, if you're out there and you want to sponsor the show, hook me up. I'll hook you up because I travel every freaking week, or just about every week. You know how that goes because we still got to work from home every now and then. But the staff, last week I was in the Boston area. The staff was great. The facilities were a little old. But if you looked at Boston, they've got some of the most beautiful old architecture there. It's almost artful, historic. And that's how the facility was. It felt like I was in a historic hotel. This hotel that I'm in right now in Indiana, it's a little newer, a little more modern, but it's still nice. But the commonality in there are the people. They follow their state guidelines as required by their state. And they are not using that poor excuse for poor customer service. They're not using that excuse due to COVID. And I try to brush those words together to hopefully not trigger any algorithms. But let's talk a little bit about media hypocrisy here. Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick died of natural causes after the riot. So this is the guy that the media was hyping up about being brutally murdered in the Capitol riot. Story after story after story. January 7th, 8th, 9th, story after story. Headlines. Officer brutally murdered in Washington, D.C. riots. The report came out. Medical expert says he died of a blood clot that caused a stroke. The plot thickens. What's going on, media? Why aren't you being honest? Because what happened is that story comes up and they don't report on that. They just brush it under the rug. We made a mistake. All we're going to do is change the headlines, but it's still going to be archived. It's still going to be cached. So the headline is going to say one thing, but when you click on it, it's going to say something else. You know that's how that works. You know how Facebook feeds work. I mean, you click on a link that says one thing, you go to the story says another thing. That's because they haven't recached their story. So I've got a challenge for everyone that sees that. There's a URL, and it's a pretty decent long URL. It's like developers.facebook.com/tools/debug. And I'll put that in the description. Again, developers.facebook.com/tools/debug. Anytime anyone sees a headline that they click on, it takes you to a story that has a different headline and different story content. Go to that website. This is specifically for Facebook. But what that will do is you put that URL to Facebook. Facebook will recrawl that URL and it will correct itself. So we're going to have to take it on ourselves to fix the media on Facebook, because Facebook's not going to do it. They're going to keep that cached version of whatever they have because it fits their narrative too. But let's start taking steps on ourselves. Again, developers.facebook.com/tools/debug. Anytime you see a misleading headline, recrawl it. But the media has essentially swept that under the rug because they were wrong. Where's the outcry on that? Doesn't fit their black versus white narrative at all. Doesn't fit it. Doesn't fit their anti-Trump narrative at all. It doesn't. So it's going to cost them clicks. And that's what they're in for. They're in for the clicks. The more clicks a media outlet gets, the more money they get from the advertisers on their sites. They count the number of clicks that they get through and blah, 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 blah. But it's all about the mighty click and the mighty view. YouTube even, this platform. I like this platform that I'm on right now, YouTube. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Rumble. I like YouTube because it gives me the chance later to monetize this, which I'm not monetized yet because I haven't reached 1,000 subscribers and met the requirements and blah, blah, blah. But either way, I'm not going to get into real specific details on that, even though I can argue with that. But I just like the content. I can find out how to do anything I need to do on YouTube. That's how I figured out how to do this thing that I'm doing right now is on YouTube. Go figure. But where was I going with this? YouTube. You got some media outlets that have videos on YouTube that the more watches they get, the more money they get. So they're getting money on clicks on their website and on YouTube and whatever other platform they have, all based off of their headlines. But this one, since they made a mistake, they don't have to be accountable for that. Go figure. What I see happening here, I kind of see the media. And I'm not talking about the mainstream media, I'm talking about the lamestream media. I see them potentially starting the prophecy that Jesus gave himself. And I'll say the media, and what I see happening right now is the news media, the lamestream media, and politicians starting to bring forth prophecy that Jesus Christ gave in Matthew. In fact, Matthew 24:7. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. Let's take that first part there. Nation will rise against nation. Now that is the New International Version, but let's Talk about that. Nation is the word ethnos in Greek. Ethnos, what word do you think we get from there? Ethnicity. Probably from ethos, a race, i.e. a tribe. Black, white. Two different races. The media is bringing it out. They're starting it. Ethnos versus ethnos. Now, I'm not trying to be dogmatic here by any means. That's just my interpretation, but I cannot see any other reason why this is happening. And it was talked about 2,000 years ago. Ethnos will rise against ethnos. So ethnos, ergethense. My Greek isn't the best. I just know this word, but that means wake, arouse. There's another one. I wake, arouse. What is the term? Get woke, go woke. To waken. My goodness, people, if you can't see what's going on right now in the Bible, take a look at it again. But don't just read the words. Go into the words. One race will wake, get woke against another race. Wow. Can you imagine that? And it's talked about 2,000 years ago. And kingdom against kingdom. So from Basileus, properly royal, to rule a realm against, basically that the kingdom word is more for kingdom. It's more for a nation in that sense. So what do you have happening right now? China, Taiwan, two separate countries. China is trying to overtake Taiwan. Russia's trying to overtake the Ukraine. So you've got ethnicities over here getting woke against another ethnicities, and and kingdom will rise against kingdom. I'm going to say get woke, because the Bible is happening right now. Hey guys, thank you again for listening to me rant and rave. Don't forget to drop me a like, drop me a subscribe if you're on YouTube, Rumble, or wherever. I could use all the subscribers I get. And I know this one went on for a little bit longer, but thank you for listening. Thank you for sticking through. My name is Andrew Alvarez, and I'm the Latino Conservative.